This legacy deck is demonic. Cabal Ritual makes 5 skulls, and while we're playing Demonic Counsel and Ad Nauseam Tendrils, let's go check it out. This video is proudly sponsored by Card Market. If you're a member of our Storm Discord community, you might know the name Yokel, often chatting about Ad Nauseam Tendrils, and they're also a fantastic moderator of that Storm Discord. And this deck list today is their creation, so thank you to Yokel for today's donation deck. I really do appreciate your support. They're often working on Ad Nauseam Tendrils, and their whole shtick is that they often play 61 cards. Yokel decided to make me happy today and submitted a deck list with only 60, which I really do appreciate, but their whole thing is 61 cards. And when you look at the deck list, it's all based around a new and exciting card from Duskborn, and by new and exciting, I mean a few months old. So Demonic Counsel, for 1 and a black, you search your library for a demon card. Okay, we're not playing any demons. What's the kicker? Well, if you're able to enable delirium, you can search your library for any card. Well, that's pretty powerful, and it's the secondary tutor effect that Ad Nauseam Tendrils has always wanted, because in the past they've played things like Grim Tutor, Dark Petition, Wishclaw Talisman, and then more recently Burning Wish to enable singleton cards. And that's a big thing because having unique answers is nice for a variety of matchups. So Burning Wish and Wishclaw Talisman both enable that. So Demonic Counsel does this while being on color and a little bit faster. So we like all of this. But you do have to get Delirium. And in order to do that, we're playing Mishra's Bauble today over Preordain because it puts Artifact to the graveyard, which is quite helpful. When you're able to do that, you can also speed up your Cabal Ritual thresholds, and I think that makes a lot of sense. Personally, if I were to work on this, I would cut the Verdant Catacombs and then maybe the second copy of Duress or 2 more Mishra's Bauble, because I want to make my Demonic Counsel live on turn 2 more often, but also just the speed aspect of Cabal Ritual. It's also a 0 mana artifact for Ad Nauseam, so you're lowering the overall mana value of your library, meaning that your deck is now more efficient. All of these things seem like wins to me, and I'm really excited about that. I think that Mishra's Bauble makes a lot of sense. So I love the main deck, and just with that one small change, like 2 baubles, not a huge difference. In the sideboard, we see 2 copies of Consigned to Memory that can come in against something like opposing combo decks, or even Eldrazi, for example, Dress Down, Echoing Truth, Abrupt Decay. These are all permanent answers for things like Prison decks, Hate Bears, or even Control decks with answering those permanent solutions and that sort of thing. We have 3 Surgical Extraction, 1 Extirpate. This is for graveyard combo decks and that sort of thing. I understand the logic here because they pair well with discard, but I think in the current era of Legacy that we're in, I prefer Leyline of the Void, but you can't really go wrong with Surgical Extraction. It's tried and true, and it does have that nice synergy with discard spells in order to cripple other combo decks. We have Empty the Warrens for the One Ring, but also beating Veil of Summer and things like that. Speaking of Veil of Summer, we have a 3rd in the sideboard against those discard strategies, and that is the deck tech. Yokel, thank you for your support. I hope you enjoyed the video. Everyone else, if you do, like, comment, subscribe. I would greatly appreciate that. And without any further ado, I will see you all in the first round. Don't go anywhere. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. You can also show your support by becoming a member of this channel. You get sweet perks such as badges, emotes, early access to videos, exclusive members only content, and access to our members Discord section. As you increase the tiers, there are other rewards such as shop discounts, sideboard guides, and even free donation decks. Click the join button down below to find out more. We also have other ways you can support us, like theepicstorm.com/shop or submitting a donation deck via theepicstorm.com/donation decks. That's enough for now. Let's play some Magic. Welcome to match number 1. We are on the draw. I have no idea what our opponent is playing today, but we've sort of opened up a classic ant hand here where we have our land, we have Ponder to dig for our tutor effect, which we now have 8 of, so that threat density is a lot higher, meaning that you're able to combo off more quickly. But if we do draw Infernal Tutor or Demonic Counsel, we actually have a turn 1 win. So you could go Misty Rainforest for some land, Lotus Petal, Cabal Ritual, and then play Thoughtseize. After that, play Lion's Eye Diamond, Demonic Counsel. In response to the Demonic Counsel, sacrifice both Lion's Eye Diamonds, put another sorcery to the graveyard. Now you have Delirium, and then you could Demonic Counsel for Ad Nauseam, and then win the game. So Yeah, we're going to keep this, and let's see what happens. They play Once Upon a Time. Okay. They find Eye of Ugin. So we are facing Eldrazi. No turn 1 Chalice of the Void. That's a good sign. We find a Brainstorm. All right, let's fetch. We'll grab the basic island. Let's play Ponder. Infernal Tutor. Is there a win here? There's gotta be. So I could take the Lotus Petal. I'm convinced there's a win here. We'll grab the Lotus Petal. So Lotus Petal would be from 2, 3, 4, 5. Brainstorm would be 6. Infernal Tutor would be 7. Infernal Tutor would be 8. Tendrils is 9. That's 1 short. And I don't have the resources right now for a Past in Flames win, so I could play Ad Nauseam on the stack. I just don't know if that wins. So we'll play out the artifacts. And then hold control. We'll play the Brainstorm. And then we'll add some black mana. You know what? I just want to think through this one more time. So we'll add black mana. If I grab Infernal Tutor, well, we'll draw Infernal Tutor. Let's just play the Brainstorm. So if I Infernal Tutor, that brings me down to 4. Past in Flames leaves me with 1. So that doesn't work. All right, so this does need to be Ad Nauseam. We have 2 Lotus Petals and 2 Lion's Eye Diamonds out of the deck. So I don't know if our ability to win here is that great. Also, apparently I couldn't Infernal Tutor into Infernal Tutor. I'm 1 mana short. So we'll grab the Ad Nauseam. And let's play it. Tendrils is the first card. You'll love to see it. All right, so we go to 13. I would love to see a Lotus Petal here. Infernal Tutor puts me to 11. Mishra's Bauble being a 0. You like seeing that. Polluted Delta. Ponder puts me to 10. Polluted Delta. Past in Flames. So there's no more cards in the deck that cost 4. Cabal Ritual. So I could stop here, but I know that there's nothing that kills me. So I will flip again. Bayou. Undercity Sewers. Duress. There's nothing in the deck that costs 3, so I could flip again. I would go to 1. Let's do it. If I flip to 2. Lion's Eye Diamond. Okay, well, I still just need a Lotus Petal. Wrong 0 to reveal. Alright, we'll stop at 1. Play out the artifacts. Another Lion's Eye Diamond would have done it too. And we have to go to cleanup. So the question is, do you leave Tendrils of Agony in your hand? Or do you put it to the graveyard? Because you have to worry about Thought-Knot Seer. Or if you put it to the graveyard, they could have a Kozilek's Command. So that's a concern. We're going to get rid of all of these fetch lands when I'm at 1 life. Don't need Duress. Probably get rid of the Past in Flames to protect it from a Thought-Knot Seer as well. Don't need Double Ponder. So this is our new 7-card hand. And I should have done the Bauble in the upkeep, but honestly, it just doesn't matter. Thought-Knot Seer is on top of their deck. They play Yavimaya. Okay. Sowing Mycospawn. So this can get them a land out of their deck. They grab an Eldrazi Temple. So now they can play another creature. Or actually, it could be a Kozilek's Command. If it is Kozilek's Command, we lose. They're pausing here on the cast, which makes me nervous, because that implies that it is, in fact, the Kozilek's Command. And they did have it, so now we have no win condition. Bummer. Okay, so we lose game number 1. Womp womp. We will bring in Echoing Truth and Consign to Memory. I don't hate Empty the Warrens. That's a card that I'm definitely interested in. So I don't love Duress. That's a card that could probably get out. Well, the question is Duress better than Consign to Memory? Probably not. You also don't need Veil of Summer. That's 61. And then let's cut the Ad Nauseam because we're bringing in the Empty the Warrens. That, or you could board out the Past in Flames. But maybe boarding out the Past in Flames is crazy. I think I'm just going to try this. On the play for game number 2. This is an interesting hand. So you could go Dark Ritual off of Lotus Petal. Yeah, this hand just is, I mean, it's close, but it's just not good enough. If the Thoughtseize was a land, maybe. Yeah, I think you're supposed to send this back. Unfortunate. And then we'll keep this, get rid of Cabal Ritual. The opponent with a mulligan to 5. Misty Rainforest will fetch. Grab the basic island and play Ponder. I think we like all of these. Keep. Pass the turn. So we have 2 types in the graveyard right now for Delirium. Play the other Ponder. Don't think we need these. I will shuffle. Okay, so that is a win, assuming our opponent doesn't have a Fairy Macabre or Mindbreak Trap. So Dark Ritual, Cabal Ritual, Lion's Eye Diamond, Crack for Red, Past in Flames. I think we're supposed to jam Dark Ritual. I mean, I guess I could even empty the Warrens instead. We'll play Cabal Ritual. If we're afraid of the graveyard hate, we could empty the Warrens for 12. I don't know if that's good, but it's an option. And then holding priority, we'll play Demonic Counsel. We'll sacrifice for red. Demonic Counsel. And they have Mindbreak Trap. Okay. Pass the turn. So you might be saying, why combo off in a Mindbreak Trap? It's pretty easy to say that after it happens, but they're also a deck with Thought-Knot Seer and Kozilek's Command and Chalice of the Void. Like, there's a lot of pressure on you to move quickly. All right, well, that was a good draw. So now if we could draw a Lion's Eye Diamond, we're back in this. And here they have the Thought-Knot Seer. So it just, like, maybe if we had waited, we would have been hit by Thought-Knot Seer, and then they would have taken our tutor. So rock, meat, hard place. Okay. Brainstorm. Guess we'll cast it. Put both tutors on top, play Pluto Delta. I don't even know how we win this, because we boarded out the Ad Nauseam, and then they just took our Past in Flame. So we have no Storm Engine left in the deck because we boarded out the Ad Nauseam, which I think is very reasonable. The big thing was we needed them to not have Mindbreak Trap, and they did. And it looks like here they have Kozilek's Command as well. So we were never really in this. I'll just save myself a little bit of time and concede here. We just got smushed. That happens sometimes in Legacy. It is a powerful format, and we are now 0-1. Moxfield.com is the easiest way to build a Magic deck online. They support over 30 formats, including Legacy and many other Eternal formats. There are so many options to view decks the way that you want, from text view to individual cards, mana value, and even card price. There's also light mode and dark mode. My personal favorite feature is card tags. This way you can sort cards by function. Moxfield supports collection tracking, Scryfall search, decklist feedback, and so much more. Follow me on Moxfield.com so you can stay updated on all of my decks. For round number 2, we're on the draw again, and we're facing someone who typically plays combo decks. We've opened up a hand where we can't really do anything, so I'm going to send this back. Like, yeah, you have 1 land and spells, but the hand doesn't function. Here we have no lands. I think we are pressured to send this back. This is the best hand we've seen. I'll keep, and we'll get rid of 1 land and the Lotus Petal. Looks like they're on Oops All spells. Okay. Yep. Thoughtseize. Sure. So this is sort of my problem with, I mean, granted, this is a game 1 situation, but I'm just trying to point out that this is my problem with, like, surgical extraction effects. Is that Oops All spells plays Pact of Negation, Thoughtseize, they run 2 Cabal Therapy, and then some lists play Unmask. That's a lot of answers that could potentially just ruin your day, where they really struggle to beat Leyline of the Void. The issue is that Leyline of the Void is not a playable card against something like Doomsday, where if you're facing Doomsday, you could bring in Surgical Extraction and just go, my game plan is to exile or discard a Doomsday and then exile them all. And that's a fair plan to do, but I think it's just kind of poopy against the actual decks you want it for, like Oops All spells. So we just got goldfished, and it didn't really matter what I did. They had a turn 1 with backup. So we'll concede this and go to game number 2. Bring in the Surgical Extraction, Extirpate. All right, so that's 4 cards in. Some lists play like Leyline of Sanctity in the board. It's not very common, but I do think you're supposed to hedge and bring in like 1 copy of Echoing Truth. So we'll do that. And then we have to find 5 cuts, which feels like a lot. What to do? Probably shave like 1 or 2 Demonic Counsel, because they are a deck that play Leyline of the Void as well. And maybe if that's the case, you're allowed to board out a couple copies of Mishra's Bauble. And now we need 1 more. Maybe Duress. Actually, let's board out both Duress and we'll bring back in one Demonic Counsel. Just because Duress doesn't hit any of the key parts of their combo. It really just hits like their lands and Dark Ritual. So I think I might like this a little bit more. You know what? I'm going to get rid of Veil of Summer. My initial thought was that I wanted Veil of Summer to protect my Surgical Extraction. But if we're leaving in 3 Demonic Counsel, I want the artifact for Metal, or I'm sorry, not Metalcraft, Delirium. And that makes more sense to me. I understand that you could protect your Surgical Extraction. It's just how many games are you going to be holding open your Tua Veil of Summer and you have a Cyborg card in your hand with the green mana? It seems like a little bit of wishful thinking. All right, so we've opened up a hand that technically could play Magic, just not in this matchup. So we'll send that back. And now I have the Extirpate, which is nice, but I don't have a land. So are you supposed to keep this or do you go to 5? I think I'm going to go to 5. This is the best hand we've seen. I'll bottom the Tendrils of Agony and the Mishra's Bauble. Okay, so another thing about the Oops All Spells deck is Surgical Extraction isn't even that great against them because they have Memory's Journey and Jack-o'-lantern. So when you go to Surgical Extraction something, they just shuffle in whatever you're targeting. If it's a Narcomoeba, Dread Return, Thassa's Oracle, like Surgical Extraction effects are very easy for this deck to beat. We'll play Thoughtseize. And they have Conjurer's Bauble here to shut off my Surgical Extraction. So this is another way that this deck just beats Surgical Extraction. It's just not good. We'll take Thoughtseize, I suppose. Pass the turn. I don't know what else I'm supposed to do here. They play Crypt of Agadeem and Jack-o'-lantern. Sure. Brainstorm. We'll ponder. Is it crazy to shut? Like, I don't, like, Second Thoughtseize is sort of nice, but I don't think I want these other cards. I will shuffle. Another Brainstorm. We'll Surveil. I would like a Lion's Eye Diamond. Pass the turn. They drew another Thoughtseize. Yep. So, if you're someone right now that's going, well, why didn't you Surgical Extraction Thoughtseize in their draw step? That is just not a good move. Like, I know that they have the Conjurer's Bauble in their hand, but that is not how you win a game when you're this low on resources. I do think that sometimes I receive a lot of like hindsight bias comments in the comment section where things seem really obvious after the bad thing happens. But when you think about how likely that is to happen, or if it's even a good move, then you start to grow as a player and you learn that, like, hey, if you Surgical Extraction of Thoughtseize, that probably doesn't matter. How likely are you going to win off back-to-back Brainstorms with no other resources? Probably not very often. So, yeah, that can happen. It's just, I don't think that's something you're supposed to play around. This is interesting. So we'll play the Verdant Catacombs, play the Lion's Eye Diamond, and then pass the turn. They're going to use the Jack-o'-lantern, and they exile a Surgical Extraction. So we're playing one Extirpate today. I think if you wanted to play Surgical Extraction, they drew a third Thoughtseize, but if you wanted to play that effect, I actually think Extirpate out of this deck, if you can afford the mana, is just better due to Memory's Journey. But the question is, can you afford the mana? Because there's going to be some number of games where you're on the draw. And I think that's sort of where it becomes bad. It's just like now you're playing a card that requires mana, and like, is that something you want? I don't think so, but when you have the black available, it is just better. Okay, so this was pretty interesting because now we're just 1 mana short of winning the game, assuming that our Ad Nauseam resolves. I'll put Infernal Tutor and Ponder on top, so I will allow them to discard the Demonic Counsel. Next turn, we'll draw the Ponder, hopefully find another mana, and then the turn after that, try to win. They play out the Conjurer's Bauble, play Ponder. We're ideally looking for mana here. We find Dark Ritual. Okay, so that will work, assuming we get another turn. We know that they have Dark Ritual and 2 Unknowns in their hand. They're about to draw a card for turn. And then they could also draw a card off the Conjurer's Bauble. So they have a lot of looks here for an Undercity Informer or a Balustrade Spy to end the game. They're going to use the Conjurer's Bauble. They cast a Lotus Petal. 2 black mana. Boggart Trawler. Sure. So this game they struggled to find Undercity Informer. And now we'll draw the Infernal Tutor. And I'm glad that I kept the Infernal Tutor over the Demonic Counsel, because this is the spot where we're rewarded for that decision. Even though, I'll be honest, I did not plan on this happening. And now I'll add 3 black. We'll grab Ad Nauseam. And we'll play it. People tend to like it when I have the pop out like this. When I'm playing on my own, I never do this stuff. It's so unnatural to me. But there's a lot of people that like seeing this here. So that's what we're doing. Trying to make people happy. All right, I'm at 4. We should probably stop. Play out the Lion's Eye Diamond in case they have their own surgical extraction. Not that it's common, but you never know what people are up to. And now we'll continue to play spells. Let's surgical extraction there. Okay, they're not going to let me. Okay. I'm going to resubmit. So this hand does not have surgical extraction in it, but it is a hand that plays Magic the Gathering and you have Thoughtseize. I'm tempted to keep this. Like, they've already seen the surgical extractions and they've seen multiple. So I'm hoping that they just choose to respect it, which gives me a turn to play Ponder or Thoughtseize or whatever. They play a land untapped and a turn 1 Thoughtseize. Sure. So the question is, do you take my Thoughtseize or do you take the Ponder trying to slow me down? I'm going to guess the Thoughtseize, but we'll see once they make their decision. They take the Thoughtseize, yep. So in this spot, I would like to Ponder into a surgical extraction. That would be one of the best things to happen. We'll grab Underground Sea and play the Ponder. So we have instant land sorcery artifact. So if I keep this, I believe that's a win next turn. So I draw Dark Ritual, play Burning Catacombs, Dark Ritual, Cabal Ritual, Cabal Ritual, Lotus Petal. That is a win. So the question is, do they have the turn 2? I hope not. We'll play the Lotus Petal to maybe bluff something. I don't know, but we'll play it out. I don't think that Storm is going to matter all that much. It might. I mean, I could be wrong. Just hoping to get another turn. They go to 12. Jack-o'-lantern. Okay. So, Verdant Catacombs, we will fetch. I'm at 18. We'll grab the Bayou. So, let's just count one more time. Dark Ritual off of Bayou. That's 3. Cabal Ritual would be 4. Cabal Ritual would be 5. And then Underground Sea would be 6. Lotus Petal would be 7. That's enough to cast Ad Nauseam. Play the Dark Ritual. Our opponent has a Jack-o'-lantern on the table, so they can sacrifice it and exile a card from my graveyard. So if you're thinking just go for a Past in Flames win, that will not work. And now we'll play another Cabal Ritual. Oh, I just realized the Jack-o'-lantern is going to turn me off of Delirium. Oh, no way. So am I supposed to bluff? I think I'm supposed to try to bluff here. We'll play Demonic Counsel. I completely forgot about the Jack-o'-lantern just turning off Delirium. That's my bad. Oh, I'm an idiot. I'm an idiot. Yep. I don't know why I didn't see that. That hurts. Yep. Pass the turn. Someone better than me would have won this. Not me, though. That's tough. And now they have Thoughtseize. Let's fire off Brainstorm. Okay, Surgical... It's not bad. We'll take the surgical extraction. Put these 2 on top. Play the Undercity Sewers. Surveil away the Bauble. Pass the turn. I really wish that this was the 1 of Extirpate because we have the mana to spend on it, where they couldn't respond with Memory's Journey, but oh well. They have a land untapped. We will pass the turn. Thoughtseize number 3. Let's Brainstorm. We'll hide these 2. Okay, so we've redrawn the surgical extraction and I will now pass the turn. So the question is, do you want to draw the Lion's Eye Diamond or not? I think you're supposed to get rid of it because you already have 5 mana. And a draw of Cabal Ritual here isn't much worse, right? So like having the Lion's Eye Diamond doesn't matter all that much. We drew it anyway. Play it out. Alright, so Infernal Tutor, Demonic Counsel. Those are things we're interested in. That is a Poxwalkers. We draw Thoughtseize. I suppose we'll play it. So they have Pact of Negation for surgical extraction, I could just take the Thassa's Oracle right now. I think that's the move. And then exile the Thassa's Oracle. Exile the Oracle from the graveyard. They did not have the like Ley Line of Sanctity, which isn't super common, but I have run into it recently. So it's not like out there. It's just it's not common, but like I did see it. So I'm just trying to like what is having one Echoing Truth worth it? Like that's what I was trying to decide. Like, and if you don't, you have like one Veil of Summer. They make 4 mana here. And they hardcast the Simian Spirit Guide. Okay, so I'm going to go to 12. And then next turn they attack. So it doesn't actually change their clock that much. And now they swing. I go to 12. Another Lotus Petal. I will hold that for Storm. They are at 8. So if I draw cards with text on them, we might be able to win. So now they'll attack for 5. That will put me to 7. Another Surgical Extraction. Okay. So this attack will put me to 2. So my next draw step is my last draw step. They play out a Lotus Petal. It looks like they're about to hard cast another Simian Spirit Guide, and they do. Okay, so this is going to seem a little wonky. I believe our best chance at winning is Surgical Extraction on ourselves. And we're going to exile all of our polluted deltas. This will increase our chances of drawing something that matters. And I'm going to leave the polluted delta in the graveyard because it's free. But we'll exile the 3 from the deck. We'll take a draw. Ugh, no such luck. We had 7 hits there between 2 more copies of Demonic Counsel because we boarded 1 out, right? Yeah, we boarded 1 out. 4 Infernal Tutor. Past in Flames was a win, so that actually does get you up to 7. Ad Nauseam doesn't work. I would have taken our Ponder or Brainstorm for more looks, but we just missed on multiple turns in a row. That's brutal. Admittedly, I did punt the Demonic Counsel early, but we had a lot of opportunity to come back here. That feels bad. I don't know what else to say other than that. I'm sorry that I forgot about the Jack-o'-lantern until it was too late. We're 0-2. We're going to try to win some more matches. Yokel, I'm sorry for my error in judgment there, but that was a brutal one. Let's get match number 3. Looking to make playing your favorite combo deck much easier? Look no further than the Epic Storm Mini Token Combo Pack, which is available at theepicstorm.com/shop for $14.99. This combo token pack comes with 84 double-sided tokens. That includes our classic Storm and mana tokens as well as fan favorites such as Goblins, Squirrels, and Slime Time Live. But that's not all. We've expanded this token pack to cover a variety of formats with new tokens. Stop on by theepicstorm.com/shop and make an easy decision to elevate your combo game. All right, time for the 3rd round. We are on the draw, and I'm going to keep this hand, and I will try to remember and be more cautious about the delirium aspect. Once again, my apologies to you, the viewer, and Yokel. All right, so Flooded Strand, sure. Another Dark Ritual, that's good. Let's fetch with the Polluted Delta, grab Basic Island, and let's play Ponder. I like all of these. All right, so we will play the Bobble. And here's something that's pretty interesting. I'm not convinced we would like to sacrifice Mishra's Bobble. So I'm just trying to think through next turn. The way that this is currently lined up, Undercity Sewers, okay, is that if I draw off the Bobble for my turn, I will not be able to get Hellbent. So that is a concern. But if I don't crack the Bobble, I could get Delirium or the Demonic Counsel and then go grab like a Thoughtseize, and then I could get Hellbent for the Infernal Tutor. So here, the best thing Mishra's Bobble can do is just exist in the graveyard, and we'll put that draw on hold for another turn. So let's just think through this one more time. So Polluted Deltas to the graveyard would be card 3. Dark Ritual will be card 4. Dark Ritual will be card 5. Bobble would be card 6. So we're 1 card short of the first Cabal Ritual having Threshold. Interesting. No, actually we're not. Okay, so what I can do is I can Demonic Counsel and then play the Cabal Rituals because I'll already have Delirium. It just took me a minute to see it. So we will fetch with the Polluted Delta. So right now we have land sorcery. We'll grab the basic swamp. Dark Ritual, this will be instant. Dark Ritual, instant. And now we'll bobble them. So now we have the Delirium, Shieldred's Edict. I'll play Demonic Counsel. So this is now just Demonic Tutor and Legacy. We'll go grab Duress. And now we'll play Duress. This is a cool line. The Daze. We'll pay for the Daze. It's Storm 5. We'll take the Brainstorm. So Cabal Ritual's 5 mana. And then the other one will be 8. Plus 3 Storm. This just works out perfectly. I believe we can Infernal Tutor for Infernal Tutor into Tendrils of Agony for exact lethal. Yeah, this was just a great game. So now we'll grab the other Infernal Tutor. We'll play it. And Tendrils of Agony. Yeah, love that. Everything just worked this game. There was no Bryant Cook standing in the way. Hopefully Yokel appreciates that one. Alright, so let's go get a post-board game now. We haven't got a match win yet, but I believe in us. We probably want the Empty the Warrens, although they might be a Tamiyo Inquisitive Student deck, but I still like Empty the Warrens in general in these matchups. And then maybe the Veil of Summer. I don't love the Ad Nauseam versus Tempo, and we're at 61. Maybe shave like one Thoughtseize. Actually, we might want the Tropical Island. Going up a land versus a wasteland strategy, and we're bringing in an extra green card. Or you could bring back that Thoughtseize and just go a little slower and get rid of the Baubles. And the Baubles are also not great versus an Orcish Bowmaster's deck. Yeah, I think I'm okay trying this out. A lot of play to this deck, I will say that. There's a lot of different strategies you could go with. Yokel did not provide me with a sideboard guide, but there's a lot of different ways you could play this. And I think that's one of the interesting things about playing Storm strategies is one player might do one thing and another player might do another. And neither of them are necessarily wrong, but there's a lot of play with those decisions. Like you could, like, I know some people that would even consider bringing in Abrupt Decay versus Tempo decks. Do I like that? No. But I also don't think that it's completely unreasonable. And those sort of things can raise or lower your win percentage by a point or two, and sometimes that is the difference maker in match wins or results. So the fact that Yokel has been 5-0ing with this and I haven't been speaks a little bit to Yokel's knowledge of the deck, but also their board strategies where I'm less familiar with how the sideboard is constructed. So I'm trying to learn on the fly with you while we, also battle an opponent, which is kind of difficult. And sometimes I have those lapses in judgments, like with the Demonic Counsel. But overall, I like to think that I'm at least okay at playing Storm strategies. Game number 2, we will keep this. I like the idea of having access to the Empty the Warrens in the hand. What this hand is lacking, though, that I don't love, is just mana. Right now, we have 2 Thoughtseize. We have 2 Ponders to help find some mana, but that's not a guarantee. And we have 2 non-basic lands, which open us up to Wasteland. So is that something we would like? So you could fetch for the basic island. That's a choice, but then you don't have red mana for the Empty the Warren. So while this hand is a keepable hand, I think it's not as good as it looks. And interesting that they took the Infernal Tutor. That is not the card that I had my eye on. Alright, drawing the Misty Rainforest was solid. We'll fetch. Grab the basic island, and let's play Ponder. We will keep. Pass the turn. Bloodstained Mire. Ooh, they have Tamiyo. Alright, so we need to get off of this Empty the Warrens. And now they brainstorm immediately to flip the Tamiyo. So that makes sense why they went after the Infernal Tutor. And they plus the Tamiyo. Okay. I know that my top card is a Misty Rainforest. I'm going to, Burning Catacombs. I'm going to surveil it away and then ponder again. And then next turn, have this brainstorm look at new cards. And this was perfect. We love this. We'll put Demonic Counsel on the bottom. Duress in the middle, Infernal Tutor. Pass the turn. So right now we have land, sorcery in the graveyard. We have instant, but we're lacking the 4th type. So we would like a Lotus Petal or Lion's Eye Diamond for that. I am aware that I boarded out the Mishra's Baubles, but I think that's fine. They minused the Tameo and returned Thoughtseize, and now they're playing it again. I thought that they might do this. This is why I stacked the Duress in the middle off the Ponder, because if they take the other Infernal Tutor, we still have Demonic Counsel on top of the deck. They take Cabal Ritual, so they've recognized that mana is our choke point. They play an Island and a Ponder. They did not shuffle on the Ponder. Now played the Misty Rainforest and then Duress. So they might be thinking I would like to force Will to Brainstorm, but I knew that I had Duress there. And now they're going to Brainstorm in response to hide their free counter magic. And the reason why our opponent would consider using a Force of Will on Brainstorm is that they know this Empty the Warrens is clogging up my hand, preventing me from getting Hellbent. And by being able to put that back, ooh, look at this. No spells at all for me to hit with the Duress. They know that they could stop my game plan. So this Brainstorm is very pivotal. We'll put back the Empty the Warrens. And the second Demonic Counsel will pass the turn. I thought about keeping the other, but we're just lacking that fourth type for Delirium, which is a big issue. They plus the Tameo. There's the Wasteland. And the big dragon, Murktide Regent. There goes our Undercity Sewers. Fetch with the Misty. We'll grab Bayou, I suppose. The Empty the Horns again? Why are you like this? Ah, brutal. Brutal. We'll play Tropical Island, pass the turn. They play a land. They plus the Tameo again. So we're going to take 7, down to 11 life. Another Tameo Inquisitive Student. They have 2 cards remaining. And they did hide a couple off of Brainstorm, so my gut tells me that it's Force of Will plus another blue card. Unfortunately, I don't think that this is good enough. I think you have to shuffle this. Not good. Pass the turn. So this is definitely a game where not having those Mishra's Baubles has bit me in the butt. They search out their Undercity Sewers. Ponder. Thoughtseize. I'm just going to concede. We can go to the next one. Okay, so that did not work how we wanted. I will bring back in the Mishra's Bauble. I don't want the Empty, and without the Empty, I think you're supposed to bring back in the Ad Nauseam. So the question is, how are you fitting everything here? I do not know. I know that a lot of heuristics from the past year or so say it's okay to board out 1 Cabal Ritual. But like a lot of people board down in post-board games. And then, like, I really do believe that 8 protection is a lot in the main deck, and we just boarded up another. So maybe I'm supposed to board out 1 Veil of Summer, but they're a Thoughtseize deck, so I don't know if I love that. Let's try boarding out a Duress. And the reason I'm boarding out Duress is that you saw what happened in game 2, where they just showed us a hand where we had no targets. So it prevents something like that from happening, but also they have Orcish Bowmasters that we care about discarding, and Murktide Regent and things like that. This is an interesting hand. We don't have protection, but it is explosive. So if we can find a protection spell, maybe we could do something. Play out a Lotus Petal, so this way I can play around Daze. And another Lotus Petal. Pass the turn. My game plan here is I think on the end step I would like to find the Undercity Sewers, Surveil, untap, and Brainstorm. They have Underground Sea. We will fetch. And the reason I played out these artifacts instead of holding them for Storm is my concern is Thoughtseize. Because these are so valuable where I'd rather have them on the table than in my hand where they can be disrupted. I'm going to pass the turn. And then in their upkeep, I'll Brainstorm. For some reason, if they have like a Spell Pierce or something, or I can do it now, I don't get punished. So now I can Brainstorm. But back to Lotus Petal, I think we want the extra land. So we have land instant, and then Lotus Petal could be our artifact. So Demonic Counsel could end up being my protection spell here, assuming I go grab like a Veil of Summer or whatever. But I do need to find a sorcery. So a Ponder... Thoughtseize would be amazing because it's both the protection I need and the card for the card type I need for Delirium. They now play an Undercity Sewers, so they did not have a fetch land, which is interesting. They get rid of a Nethergoyf. Okay. A little bit of value there. On the end step, I'll fetch with the Polluted Delta. We'll grab a Bayou. Untap. What is it? Mishra's Bauble. Okay, so I think I'll just pass, and then on their turn, I will bobble myself on the end step. And you might be saying, why wait? Why not just bobble now? Because then they would have to Orcish Bowmasters in their upkeep. The thing is, if they play a Thoughtseize, I want that information of knowing what my card was discarded, because it helps me make a better educated decision with this Mishra's Bauble. So I'm going to wait till their end step. I'll look at my top card, and then I can decide if I want it with the Misty Rainforest. They play a Wasteland. Another Goyf is back. Well, this is a different one, but it's still another Goyf. And they're holding open the Wasteland here, so this could be a sign of Orcish Bowmasters. I don't think I need another Dark Ritual, so we will fetch. Let's grab Tropical Island. This way they can't cut me off a color with the Wasteland. So Bobble, they did not Wasteland there. Alright, so I'm getting a little stuck right now. So I in theory have a line here. And it's I can go Dark Ritual Past in Flames. And then see if that resolves. And then I can Demonic Counsel for protection and then flashback the Past in Flames. But I don't know if that's actually lethal or not. So Dark Ritual, Past in Flames, Demonic Counsel, Thoughtseize, then I have 6 mana. It's just short. Opposite problem in this game where we have artifacts but I don't have sorcery. I'm going to go for that line. Dark Ritual. Because something I wasn't considering is that the Dark Ritual will get flashback too. And now we'll play Past in Flames. They have Force of Negation. Worst case scenario for me here. Because now I can't use the Demonic Counsel because I don't have sorcery going to the graveyard. So that was just perfect for the opponent. Now they'll attack. I'll take 2 down to 15. 3 mana here for a Kaito. Okay, so I'm at 14. And now they have a card advantage engine on. So if I don't draw a protection spell for Demonic Counsel, and it actually needs to be a Duress or a Thoughtseize, I'm probably done. Alternatively, it could be like Ponder into Veil of Summer. That would work. They kept both cards on top of the Kaito. That's not a good sign for me. Another Lotus Petal. You're killing me here. Pass the turn. They attack. I go to 11. They use the Kaito. So with every attack, it's getting a little bit more dangerous just because of the fact that my only engine to win now is Ad Nauseam. And they're still at 20. So every hit we take means that I'm less likely to win. Last turn was probably my best window to draw Thoughtseize, Duress, or Ponder into Veil and win. And now that we've missed it, I'm feeling not very optimistic about winning this match. They play an island and a Murktide Regent. Okay. Nile Spellbomb, which will shut off Delirium. Okay. Pass the turn. They play another Brainstorm, Marsh Flats, and a Ponder. Another Brainstorm. If they have another blue mana source, and then... Well, they've played the Marsh Flats this turn, never mind. They've already played their land, so that won't work. I was going to say if they have another blue source that they could play, which they don't. But if they could play another Murktide Regent and create lethal that way. They're going to use... Oh, they can Nile Spellbomb themselves. That's cool. I didn't see that. That's a sweet line. I like that. Creative thinking by the opponent, and they get rewarded with a match win. I mean, that's just a sweet play. You have to give it to the opponent here. Alright, so we are 0-3 with Ad Nauseam Tendrils. Demonic Counsel looked a little awkward this match, I will admit. We did get that sweet game number 1, though. So 0-3, 2 matches left to go. If you're still watching, make sure to give this video a like, comment, and subscribe. While you're near the description, here's a reminder to use our affiliate links if you're going to make a purchase from Amazon, Card Hoarder, or TCG Player. Just above those affiliate links, you'll find our social channels. Make sure to join those to connect with us. For round number 4, we are on the draw again. This hand seems fine. Like, it's not an amazing hand, but we have the Ad Nauseam, so that means that we don't necessarily need this Demonic Counsel. What we need is mana. We have 3 lands. I could use a Dark Ritual, Cabal Ritual, that sort of thing. The opponent plays a Tropical Island. We find another Ponder. Let's go grab that basic island, so that way we can guarantee the ability to play all of our blue cantrips. We'll play Ponder. The Polluted Delta here is kind of nice, but I'm less convinced about Brainstorm and the Mishra's Bauble. I think I'm actually going to shuffle this. Lotus Petal was a decent find. On the end step, our opponent taps Tropical Island and cycles a Lorien Revealed. They find another Tropical Island, Preordain. So if I had to guess, we're facing some sort of show and tell variant, because the Preordain is the giveaway. That's not a card that sees play in fair decks. The Past in Flames. Our draw has been fairly clunky so far. I like all of this. So we'll play the Bayou. Let's play out the Lotus Petal. I'd rather not get dazed if possible. And then Thoughtseize. And it is in fact a show and tell variant. It is Simic Show and Tell or Omnitel. They play the Flooded Strand. Here comes the show and tell. They have it. We'll put in Undercity Sewers, and they have the Omniscience. Keep the Cabal Ritual. Emrakul the Aeon's Torn. That's good enough for me to pick it up. Alright, so we have to win back-to-back games now to keep this video going, because I have a rule here at the Epic Storm, and that is that we do not play match number 5 if we're 0-4. There's nothing to be gained. So, not going to do that. I will bring in Veil of Summer and the Surgical Extractions. I think the Extirpate could be okay. So the question is, what are you boarding out? Because now you've boarded up to 9 protection spells and 4 graveyard hate spells. So that's a lot of stuff coming in. I think we're going to board out at least 2 Demonic Counsel, 1 Cabal Ritual, get rid of the Mishra's Baubles, and we'll submit this at... Actually, let's bring in that Tropical Island. We're not facing a Wasteland deck, so you can board out the basic island here. Game number 2 on the play. Yeah, we'll keep this. We have the combo of Thoughtseize plus Surgical Extraction. So if we're able to discard a Show and Tell, we might be in business. And there's a Show and Tell. Ooh, they have Shifting Woodland. So that is not Lights Out here. Interesting. So how do you get the Omniscience to the graveyard then? It must be something like Malevolent Rumble. Well, we're about to find out. So we'll exile the one from the graveyard. And now there's 3 in the main deck. Veil of Summer, Uro. So they have Uros. That's how they win. Without the Show and Tells. And I don't see a way for them to get the Omniscience to the graveyard for the Shifting Woodland. Because Stock Up puts those cards on the bottom. I don't... Oh no, they have a Hedge Maze. So they could Brainstorm Omniscience to the top. And then Hedge Maze it. Okay. Pass the turn. Our opponent plays the island and passes. We draw a Thoughtseize. We know that they're sitting on Brainstorm. So playing out this Thoughtseize doesn't make a lot of sense in my opinion. They play Misty Rainforest. We will fetch with the Polluted Delta. And now they're going to Brainstorm. Sure. Polluted Delta back on the stack. We will grab that Undercity Sewers. Goodbye to Dark Ritual. 4 cards in graveyard for Threshold. We draw Brainstorm. Let's fire off the Thoughtseize. They fetch with Misty Rainforest. They must have drawn Veil of Summer. And they did. Unfortunate. I will pass the turn here. They play Tropical Island and the Stock Up. So I crossed off the other land because we don't know if they still have it. So with the Brainstorm, they could have put it back. But I'm going to keep the Shifting Woodland revealed. They play out a Lotus Petal, 6 cards in their hand. Ooh, okay. I should have brought in Empty the Warrens. We know that they're a Veil of Summer deck, and I did not bring it in. But I do have Surgical Extraction here. Get rid of the Tendrils of Agony. And 1 Lotus Petal. And then let's Surgical Extraction the Veil of Summer because I can't beat it. Maybe I should have paid life now that I'm thinking about it, because I'd feel real dumb if this was hit by a Spell Pierce. The Veil of Summer in response. Okay. They drew the Uro, and now they have a Force of Will. So we're definitely in trouble here. Because they already have protection. They have their win condition. And I don't have a payoff or protection. So my best draw by a wide margin is Brainstorm into both of those things. Or I could just draw Past in Flames. That would be the one of that would be perfect, but beggars can't be choosers. And now they preordain. We'll fetch with the Polluted Delta. Grab the Volcanic Island. Ponder's good. Let's play it. Ponder now on the stack. We had a little bit of a lag issue there. Another Ponder, Lion's Eye Diamond, and a fetch land. I think we keep this, play the Polluted Delta and pass. And now they'll bring back the Uro Titan of Nature's Wrath. We put the Shifting Woodland onto the battlefield. And I know that my top card is a Lion's Eye Diamond that I don't want. So I'm going to Ponder just to shuffle before I cast the Ponder here. I might have said that wrong. Fetch, so then Ponder, so that way I look at an extra card. So now we find the protection, but there's no action here. So I'm forced to shuffle Brainstorm. So that was perfect, assuming I find what I need. We'll play the Brainstorm. Okay, so we'll put back Lotus Petal and the Tropical Island. We'll fetch and play Ponder. We didn't find the action spell or the protection spell, so that Brainstorm, I'll admit, was a little bit of a waste. And I'll Ponder looking for something. No good. Shuffle. Alright, so now I am a payoff spell away, but that also assumes that the opponent has not found a second copy of Force of Will. They have 7 cards in their hand. They're dangerously close to hardcasting Omniscience. There's a stock up. So I've crossed off their hand. We know that there's a Force of Will somewhere in it. And the odds that they haven't found a second copy by now seem so small. We'll draw. Okay. Let's try a Veil of Summer. Force of Will exiles Cunning Wish. Play Cabal Ritual. Lion's Eye Diamond. Infernal Tutor. So this might eat another counterspell, but by doing it this turn, it leaves open the ability, if I drew another Tutor on a following turn, I could try again. They allow me to grab the Past in Flames here, which is a little surprising. We'll play the Past in Flames, so now they'll need double counterspell. I think that they probably should have countered the Infernal Tutor. And now they Force of Will, exiling Lorien Revealed. I don't have enough mana to flashback right now, so we will pass the turn. Oh, I'm dead to the Uro on board. I didn't realize. Whoops. So I guess it was free for them. Yeah, I guess I didn't realize that I was at 6. Okay. So that would make more sense. There wasn't much more I could have done. So it just didn't really go our way. Yokel, I am so sorry that I did not do better this league. Did I play 100% perfectly? Absolutely not. But I do think that I played the deck proficiently enough, I guess I'll say. It just didn't really work the way that we wanted. This is the deck list. What are my thoughts? It felt like the deck was a little clunky at times. I really do think that 2 more Mishra's Bauble would help Demonic Counsel be what we want it to be, which is just more consistent, because it felt like it was a little high variance this league. It was either the nuts or unusable, and I don't think that's really something you want. So I would try the changes I suggested in the beginning of -1 Duress plus a Bauble, and then minus the land was tough because I felt like we actually mulliganed a number, excuse me, a number of no land hands. So I don't know if you can afford to get away with 14. I know that some lists have done it in the past, and maybe 14's acceptable enough. If you're on 4 Mishra's Bauble, you'd have to test that to figure out. So that's my first thought. It's just 8 main deck protection is so much, because there's a lot of matchups where those do nothing, like Moonstompy, Eldrazi, that sort of thing, where you really don't want 8 protection interaction spells. So that's the first thing. And then the other is Extirpate and Surgical Extraction versus Leyline of the Void. I know that we talked about this already, but I just believe strongly that they should, in fact, be Leyline of the Void for the matchups where we want those. Yes, there's play in matchups like the Omni Show deck that we faced in the last round, but they're really there for the dedicated graveyard decks, and I don't think that they do a good enough job against things like Oops All Spells. So that is my thought. I am so sorry that we didn't do better in this video. I really did try. There was an Ant video recently, and by recently I mean within the last year, where somebody in the comment section accused me of purposely tanking so that way Ant didn't do well. I would never do such a thing and publish it to this channel. I try to create high quality content for you all, and I really do not care about Ant versus TES that much where I would put out bad quality content on purpose. So I hope that none of you truly believe that, because it's just ridiculous. And I really do appreciate Yokel supporting the channel and giving me their deck list to play today. So Yokel, thank you. I hope everyone learned something or at least found something interesting in today's video despite the result. Thank you for watching. I truly appreciate it. I hope you all have a wonderful day. And as always, keep storming. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe to support the channel. After you do that, open up our description where you can find all of our social media networks, including our Discord, where you can discuss today's deck in that Discord with me and tons of other combo masterminds. It's absolutely free to join, and it's certainly worth your while.